Hi everyone, my name is Chantal and welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be starting a two-part series where I will be creating something with Jezza's Mega Minis box. This is one of the boxes that came in Jezza's Ultimate Creativity Collection. Don't click away yet, because most of the items used in this video can be found around the home. Of course I will be using some of the items in the Mega Minis box, but most of the items can definitely be found around the home and can be replaced with simple items that you probably already have. The only thing you won't have if you did not get the boxes would be the miniatures. So let's get into it. As I said before, I will be using bits and pieces from the Jezza Mega Minis box, but also showing you how to incorporate items you can find around the home into your project. I usually do this anyway, but it's fun to experiment with different materials to get similar effects. I'm starting off by prepping the miniatures, gluing together what I can so I can still reach with my paintbrush, and adding Milliput to fill up any gaps. Milliput is a two-part epoxy putty that hardens within 3 to 4 hours. I'll leave links of all the materials used in this video in the description box below. This is the first time I'm painting miniature figures, but I did really enjoy the process. It just takes forever and I have a lot of respect for miniature painters that do this on a daily basis. I mixed the Milliput and then applied with a metal tool. I then smoothed it out with a silicone sculpting tool. Speaking of sculpting, I have yet to make something with the contents of the Jezza sculpture box, so if you would like to see me create something with that box, let me know in the comments down below, and also let me know your ideas. To prep the miniatures for painting, I'm brushing on a brush-on primer so the paint has something to adhere to. Whilst the miniatures are drying, let's make some moss. I'm using some cheap dollar store sponges and cut up the foam part of the sponge. The color of the sponge doesn't matter. Once you have the approximate amount that you want, I am spraying the sponges with some anti-static spray. Believe me, this is a lifesaver when you're working with sponge and with foam board, because it simply does not stick anymore to your hands or surfaces or whatever, and it does not affect the paint. In the grocery store you can find it in the laundry aisle. I then put the pieces of sponge in a cup and start cutting into the sponge in the cup with scissors. Cut until you have the consistency you want. I cut the pieces down to approx half a centimeter or a quarter inch. Then you get to paint the bits of sponge the color you want the moss to be. I went for a variety of greens. I added some to the cup and mixed it with a popsicle stick. Keep adding paint until it covers all the pieces of sponge, but don't add too much. You then end up with something like this, and I believe I called it moss soup whilst I was working on it. Now you just need to let it dry. The Jezza box also came with some rubble or rocks. This can also easily be made, almost the same as making the moss. You take some cork board or even cork coasters if you have them or can't get hold of cork board. You break them into pieces and then put them in a cup. You add the color that you want the rubble or the rocks to be and start mixing. And you can do the same thing with styrofoam. Break it into pieces, add it in the cup, add some paint, mix, and then put it on a plate to let it dry. Now whilst this is drying as well, we can move on to the cardboard. We are going to make some pillars out of this cardboard, and the part that we need is the corrugated part. This is actually an old pizza box. The pizza did not touch the cardboard at all. It was wrapped in plastic and then put in the box. To get to the corrugation, you have to spray the cardboard with water and let it soak in. You should then be able to pull off the top layer of the paper to reveal the corrugation. We're going to come back to this a little bit later. Let's move on to making our own air-dried clay. I never know what to use bases of egg cartons for. I have seen people make it into clay, so let's try that. I used 4 egg carton bases, which ended up being way too many, so I cut them up into bits and then soaked them in water for 8 to 12 hours. So let's get back to that a little bit later. I wanted to use this white foam board that came in Jazza's box, especially because I'm going to be carving into the foam. You can normally peel off the top layer of paper, but in this case it didn't work. So I took some of the black foam board that I have and that worked fine. If you don't have foam board, you can also use cardboard. You can definitely carve into that. Or alternatively, you can stick a sheet of craft foam onto the cardboard and carve into that. Styrofoam and cork will work as well. I'm gluing together 2 pieces of foam board as I want to work with a thicker foam for this diorama. With a sharp metal tool, I'm carving out where I want the windows to be, or at least one window and one part of a window, and then cutting them out with a craft knife. Once the windows are cut, I am carving bricks into the foam. I just realized I haven't told you what I'm making yet. I'm making a diorama with ruins, but that is all I'm revealing to you for now. And then for some added detail, I'm cutting out some bricks from the sides. I am then creating an arch that will sit against the wall. I want some steps to go up to the arch, and I could have done various things to build up these steps. I started with the largest part and worked up to the smallest parts of the steps. It's probably easier to do it the other way around, but as with most of my projects, they are not really planned out. I just have a rough idea of what I want to make and just start. And then eventually you'll have something like this. And before putting all these parts together, I'm adding some details to the arch and to the steps as well. And just gluing them together with hot glue. It is not often that I use hot glue for projects, but I did in this case. Also, I bought another glue gun, so that might help as well. The wonderfully talented Jeremy from Blackmagic Craft uses black Mod Podge, and I thought to try this out as my jar of Mod Podge is nearing its end. I added some black ink to it and covered the entire foam surface with the Mod Podge. This will give some durability and a nice base coat for paints. And because it's black, you have immediately the durability of the Mod Podge and also a black base coat. Remember the corrugated cardboard we prepared before? We're going to use that now. I'm going to cut down a strip and then measuring around the base of the pillar to make it fit around it, gluing it down with hot glue and giving it a layer of Mod Podge. And from another piece of foam, I am creating the ledge of the pillar. I also made some extra pillars that will be rubble or scattered terrain in the diorama. I just rolled up the cardboard with the corrugation on the outside and filled the top and the base with hot glue. I think the egg cartons have been soaking for long enough now, so let's make some air dry clay. I went in with a stick blender and you basically blend it till it looks like porridge.
Then you pick it up with a sieve, let it drain, scoop all the bits out, squeeze it, squeeze all the water out as much as you can, and then you end up with something like this. I had over 500 grams of this stuff out of 4 egg cartons, and I am only using 200 grams, which is about 7 ounces. I'm then going to crumble it up so it is all a little bit more loose and one consistency, and then I'm going to add PVA glue. I'm using gloves for this as I don't want my hands to get in the PVA glue mixing this together. I just keep adding and mixing until I think I have the right consistency, and then I will weigh it to see how much glue I added to the 200 grams of drained egg carton so you can make your own. And as you can see here, I've added about 75 grams of PVA glue or 2.2 ounces. I've put the air dry clay in a yogurt tub that is perfect for storing these kinds of things, and I'm just starting to add the air dry clay to the base of the diorama. I have not tried sculpting with this air dry clay. When it's dry, it very much feels like egg carton again and has that paper-like consistency. The glue is the binder in the clay that keeps it all together. I don't know how fragile it is, but for this application it worked fine. So I'm not going to give you a complete rundown of painting the miniatures. However, the basics are base color, then the shading, and the wash that came in the Jazza box was perfect for this, and then dry brushing with a lighter color to bring out the details and the highlights. Next week is going to be part 2 of this series, and I will have someone joining me to tell you the story that goes with this diorama. And this is it for part 1 of this video series. I hope you joined me with creating a little diorama, and if you did, please tag me on Instagram. If you would like to support me, you can do so by signing up for my Patreon. You can find the link in the description box below or in the end card. And if you're new here, welcome! Please don't forget you can hit the subscribe button to become part of the Raven family. Thanks so much for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! I will be creating a diorama with two-part series of nothing. The items used in these videos are I can't do it today. No. To my channel. Today I will be creating a miniature, no, because it's 2 parts.